Yo, can you hear me? You listening to
WAW. What a week.
What a week.
Eta, welcome back. It's another episode of Wow, What a Week. And geez, what an incredibly taxing past 2 weeks we've had. Exactly 2 weeks ago, we lost our creative director, Kuvesh Mohan, and we saw it apt not to have an episode last week so that we could honor him in the best possible way. But the show does have to go on, unfortunately or fortunately. We have a jam-packed show for you today. Geez, we have a bit of skin, almost a bit of bum, some money and some banking. We have a very funny dude who's in the building who might have you in tears if you go to his show this coming weekend. Over and above anything else, we have an incredible jam-packed show for you. So stick around as we jump straight into the week that was.
This is Wow! What a week.
What a week. You can't make this shit up.
Our first guest, our You Can't Make This Ish Up guest, is a comedian whose fan I've been for the longest time. I love the fact that he's a thinking comedian, he's a loving comedian, but I think what I love the most is the fact that I finally found someone who has a head bigger than mine. Make some noise for Jason Goliath. My dude, welcome to the show, brother.
I think the correct words are welcome back. I feel like I've made it proper.
Welcome back home.
So excited to be here, brother. Thank you for having me.
The only reason I've got you back here is because you've got an exciting brand new show.
Yes.
That I felt spoke to me also. And I think we're going to see a side of you that we might have not seen before.
Yes.
I think, we might have seen little bits of it here and there in your previous shows.
100%.
But you've got a brand new show, brother. Tell us about that.
So you're correct when you say you might have seen a little bit in the past. And, over the last couple of years, especially since COVID, I've been concerned about the messaging.
Sure.
So
sure.
To set it up, I have to be honest. And the first thing that happened, COVID hit, the audiences went away.
Yeah.
And then, when the little voice in your brain becomes your mother's voice.
Oh, yes.
And it lectured me and it said, Jason, you had audiences.
Sure.
You didn't appreciate them. What did you tell them?
Sure.
You made people laugh, but you had people listening to you in this day and age,
Sure.
and you said nothing.
So did people laugh or did you impact people?
So that was the point.
You can make people laugh, or you can make people laugh and still have an impact.
And I honestly felt guilty for not having enough of an impact, and for not using my voice enough. So that put us in a position where obviously I was thinking about it a lot. COVID had a lot of stress.
Sure.
And the big question for me then became, okay, cool, what am I going to talk about? And the thing that's been on my heart since I started comedy is, what is happiness even? Because I'm obsessed with happiness. And it became, okay, how do we live the happiest possible life? We're all going through caca, we're all going through stress,
Yes,
we're
sir.
all grappling with this happiness. Everybody's also at the edge. Then, because we're all so financially strapped as well, we worry about our financial economies, but not our emotional wellness economy.
Sure.
And therefore, we came up with the happiness economy. So,
Who's we?
so we is Nicholas Goliath and I started comedy on the same day. My best friend, I've got a lot of best friends. Nicholas is my best man. You know what I mean? That's how I would describe it. And
So would Nicholas be the guy that bails you out of prison, or the guy you're in jail with asking the other Goliath to bail both of you out?
So generally, Nicholas and I will be the ones bailing Donovan out because he looks like the kindest one, but he's always the one that throws hands first for no reason.
No, he looks like you throw hands.
Yeah, Donovan has got that Tata arrogance.
I was going to say, he's got Eastern Cape hands.
that confidence for no reason.
The hands will come out very fast.
Yeah. Uring, lawe, chap.
You know the first ever fight I got into in high school was with a kid from the Eastern Cape.
I'm not shocked.
Yeah, Sipho Skenjana was the first in high school.
Name and shame.
Dude, we're in grade 8. I can't even remember what happened. Happened, but I just remember Sipho was very, very fast with the hands.
So you lost the fight?
No. It turned into a grapple and hug, and then
Because that's what big guys do. When
then-
we realize the hands are too quick, we grab you. We grab you just to subdue and
please
save
speak for yourself.
some face.
Please speak for yourself. Anyway, I don't even know why Sipho. I can't remember why myself and Sipho were beefing on that evening, coming from dinner. at the dining hall. And then before I knew it, there was a scuffle.
It was happening.
Eastern Cape hands, very, very fast.
No, very fast. For no reason. For no reason. And they can cook and make music and do poetry and comedy. It's
Exactly.
amazing. The Eastern Cape, there's nothing they can't do. So we're on this mission to spread a little bit of happiness from the perspective of, I really think people need to have the conversation. I really think people need to do a dipstick and do the mental health, mental wellness, happiness check, and also start to prioritize it. So what happens in the show is I got frustrated of watching motivational speakers.
Oh, yes.
And feeling that, we call it energy drink motivation, where while you're watching, you feel it coming in you.
Yes.
You leave the show, you're feeling psyched and energized, and then 3 days later, you just revert back to your old habits, back to the depression, anxiety.
Old settings.
So is it possible then to give people a seed that if you take this home, nurture this thing, it will grow into whatever you'd like to create it? We took all of this research. We then started the podcast, and the podcast was started to speak to people who we deem to be happy based on what we see on social media and interrogate that happiness. Does it exist? Is it consistent? And if we spoke to enough people, would we have data points? Because now we're starting to speak like scientists now. Would we have enough data points that we could go, if you apply this recipe, you will be able to live a happier life?
What are some of the recipes you've picked up from the podcast?
So from the podcast, we came up with 3 words, and these are essentially the whole show is based on these 3 words.
Yes, sir.
Because I wanted, how does somebody take it away? So the word is gap. It sounds funny, but the acronym is GAP, and GAP stands for gratitude, acceptance, and perspective.
Okay.
So if you are able to exist in a space of gratitude, which very often comes from accepting who you are, what you are, where you are, what's happened in your life, what the position is, and then aligning your perspective to start creating the version of the world you want. So, for example, somebody cuts me off in traffic. We go around the corner. This person is cutting me off again. The road narrows. They cut me off. They drive almost over a traffic circle. My brain goes, this person is either drunk or reckless. Then out of nowhere, my brain goes, no, man, that guy's just holding in a shit. So you can make it about me. He's trying to attack me. Or I can go, it could be something else. And those are the perspectives that we're trying to bring in the show. So are you looking at the world through the right perspective? Have you accepted where you are? And have you found gratitude? And if you work on those 3 things, so what we've done is built a number of hilarious stories around those concepts. And then at the end of the show, the 2 of us come back out and have this happiness conversation with the audience. And it's crazy. People were crying last night.
I was about to say, give us an example of stories, for instance, that haven't made the show that you can talk to us about. Because we don't want you giving anything away about the show.
There are so many. So I've got a story about acceptance where I have to accept at some point that because I love eating and don't like exercising, my body looks the way it looks. That means I have to be excluded from certain things, because we're also in this space where everybody wants to be included in everything. So I once went to Vic Falls and decided on that trip, no, bungee jumping is a great idea.
Yes, sir.
But I got there to the bridge and the guys weighed me. And then when the guy weighing you has to call somebody of more authority to authorize this jump. Like he jumped on, then he just went quiet because the scale, the scale was whoop, the scale hit. I don't even know if they knew those numbers existed. At the time, I promise you, I was 138. He calls back up.
138?
138 kilos.
Do you know that I hit 138 during lockdown?
No, I think we all did, because we were locked down with our fridges.
I hit 138 during lockdown, and I look back and I'm upset at myself that I allowed it to happen.
Look, you're looking great now, and I feel like you were fishing for a compliment there, because you're looking like 108 now. I don't know how many you lost, but you look like
I'm at about 120. I just need to lose 5, and all of that 5 is here.
Yes,
all of the 5 is here.
I'm going to ask you not to lose it. Because I feel like you're going to be too sexy, and that's going to trigger like a fresh arrogance like we haven't seen before. So for me, I say keep this 5 just for humility, just to keep you.
Can I just have one gig where I'm topless?
I'll make you a deal. You do the gig topless, invite me, we're topless together. We will give the people a show. If the people want meat,
DJ before and after.
If the people want, 100%, it'll be like a BioSlim commercial. It'll be like a BioSlim commercial, literals with the
Fasela Amanamba.
So I go bungee jumping. The guy comes to check. He says, 138. He's like, no, we've had a 140. Was the heaviest person they ever had jump.
Sure.
My stupid comedy brain goes, damn it, if I didn't have a shit this morning, I would have been the heaviest. I would have been number one. Now I've got to be
could have
number
won
two.
this shit.
You know what I mean? If I didn't drop that 2-flush monster this morning, I could have been in first place. I could have been in first place.
Yeah.
The point is that bungee was the most excruciating experience of my life.
Sure.
Because what your brain doesn't think about is all of the pressure is on your ankles.
Yes.
And my ankles had never had to slow down 138 kilograms.
Exactly. It's like trying to stop a train.
Dude,
Yeah.
you know when you are crying at a point where the words don't want to come out. You know when you're crying like a 3-year-old and then like up. It was the most excruciating. And the lesson for me there was I didn't have to do that.
You didn't.
I didn't have to prove to anybody that I can bungee
My wife
down.
could have jumped and we're fine.
100%.
Yeah.
It would have been great, but I did it because I want to be involved in things that are not for me.
Sure.
Then for me, it's because we look around, we're so influenced. At the moment we got social media, your friend's got a new car, all of a sudden your car's got not good enough.
Yes.
Your friend has a swimming. I had a brat during lockdown phone me and asked me for 30 grand to build a swimming pool.
Imagine.
Why? Because his neighbor built a swimming pool and his wife is on his neck about our children are doing nothing. I was like, my man, you and your wife can't swim.
Yes.
I've been to the beach with both of you. You go with a full tracksuit because you don't get wet. Now you want me to borrow your money to build a pool you're not going to use.
And maybe if you had a relationship with your neighbors, you could go swim at the neighbors.
Thank you very much. But you can't even because now you're embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because now a grown man and you must be wearing those floaty things around your arm. I was like, you can't be putting yourself under pressure because of peer pressure.
Sure.
We are too grown.
Sure.
So for me it's about how many of us have stopped and instead of being influenced, just thought about what do you actually want? What life do you actually want to live?
At an emotional level,
Yes.
how much did putting the show together take out of you?
Brad, this has been the most difficult.
Yeah.
This one, last night was the first show, and my words to my wife was, yeah, I've got such a big cry on board.
Yeah.
Because in order for the show to land, we have to be more vulnerable than we've ever been.
I'll be at the show tonight. Am I going to cry?
Many people cried last night, and I think a lot of tears come from the truth. Because I'm not on that stage trying to say that, listen, I've made it, follow my example.
Sure.
I'm on that stage trying to go, yo, I think we're all grappling with this. The more we speak about it, the easier it becomes. This is where I'm at, where you at, and how do you feel about what I'm even saying? Because it's one of those shows where at the end I literally go, please interrogate all of these things because it's the only way we're going to get the show to where we want it. But it's also the first time in my life that I've forcing myself to talk about my dad.
Sure.
Dude, my dad is an alcoholic. He's been an alcoholic my entire life. And I've always said to people that with comedy, you can't go on stage and talk about stuff that you don't find funny. So somebody will say, hey, make jokes about whatever.
Yeah.
And then I go, no, but I don't find that funny. That's still hurtful to me.
Yes.
And to be able to get through the show, I'm finally talking about my dad in the rawest, most the type of thing where even during a joke I want to cry, and that's what's been the most tangible difference emotionally.
Did you have a conversation with Ma about this?
No,
He didn't.
so
How would it have gone had you had the conversation with Ma?
I don't think anything would have changed. I think, so they've been divorced for a very long time. They've moved on. They don't have much contact. My mom is an incredibly kind woman who still cares for everybody.
Sure.
One of those. And I think if anything, she would have encouraged me to kind of share, because I think a lot of people can relate. Dude, I had honestly a brother that looked like Joshua Doe's father. That's how old that uncle was last night, because it was opening night. And those people get some comps because they support the theater on normal nights. They go watch Nick Rabinovitz.
Oh, yes.
Now I've got literally an 80-plus-year-old Jewish man in the audience, and he comes to me afterwards going, that's the best show I've ever watched. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, the end was a little bit too close to the bone. I said, what do you mean? He says, my dad was an alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
This is a man in his 80s
wow.
that still hasn't unpacked certain things.
Sure.
And I'm unpacking things in terms of how I deal and accept,
Yes.
and how that's changed my relationship with my dad, which is why I share the stories. You gotta come to the show to fully understand it. But if we're speaking vulnerability, I've always believed that the best comedians are those that can make themselves vulnerable. I've never been as vulnerable. Nicholas has never been as vulnerable as we are during this experience. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's beautiful. And
so your first show was on Tuesday night.
yeah,
Going to bed, lying in your bed Tuesday night.
yeah.
What is happening in your mind? Or what conversations were you having with your wife?
Man, I think there was firstly a lot of gratitude because we've been talking about this show for a long time. I've been talking about this show for so long that within my office people are like, good God, when is this child going to be born? We've been talking about this baby for so many years. Can the child come already? That's literally how frustrated. So for me, it was the gratitude of being brave enough to put the show on.
Yeah.
But when I got into bed, dude, and I think you'll understand it as an artist, where we get to do things that we would do for free.
Sure.
And when I came off stage, I felt like finally I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
And I don't care if it's
Sure.
profitable.
Yeah.
What I care about is doing it for long enough so that we'll build a community of people who have a shared vision, shared sentiment around the messaging, and people who at the same place need to have this conversation. So for me, it's a labor of love. It happens in a space where it's not affecting our income. Will it make money? Maybe. Does it need to make money? No, it doesn't. Because I got everything I needed from the performance, and I'd like to think the audience did too.
Who needs to attend the show?
Everybody.
And which other city will it be going to?
So we finish in Joburg this week. We're back in Joburg at the end of the year. December we'll be out at Silver Star.
Okay.
And then we're trying to hit as many places as we can. So end of next month we're in Cape Town at the Fire and Ice. End of August we are in Gqeberha for a couple of nights.
Okay.
We're going to Bloem. We're going to Kimberley. We're going to Durban. We're going to Wild Coast.
Sure.
So we're trying to kind of get everywhere. And who needs to see this show? Anybody that's dealing with anything.
Okay.
If you
So
are,
if you're a human being, basically.
100%. If you're young and you're coming into the world and you're looking for some cheat codes on perspective and surviving things, come to the
Yes, sir.
show.
Yes, sir.
But if you're 80 and you've got unresolved things or things that still hold you back and make you question or not even sure about what happiness means to you, come to the show.
What's the name of the show?
The show's called the Happiness Economy Comedy Tour, and it's a tongue twister because it makes people from the media repeat it 3 or 4 times until they get it right, like a bit of a marketing style. You know, it's not.
It works.
The happiness economy, because that's the economy that we are focused on. No politics, no drama, just truth and hoping to leave you with something that you can grow into your own happiness economy.
It's weird you say that. I remember there was a stage where when we operated as FU, myself and Euphonic,
Yes.
we used to always remind ourselves that we're in the business of making people happy.
That's it. That
After all is said and
100%.
done, that's
100%.
the business we're in.
100%.
If we're not ticking that box, then we are failing the business we're in.
So at some point, Nicholas looks me in the eye and asks me,
Yeah.
what are we selling here, chap?
Sure.
We're doing this thing. What are we selling? If we had to walk into a boardroom
Sure.
and put the pitch down on the table and somebody said, yeah, what are you selling?
Sure.
What we are selling is an opportunity to understand that it's up to you.
Sure.
Give you a couple of tools, but real tools that you can effectively put into play in any scenario,
Yes, sir.
no matter where your life is. If you're at the bottom, put it into play. If you've been to the top and are back at the bottom, these are things that are gonna help you because we've been there. If you're at the top and you're looking to take it to the next level, I promise you there are tricks and tools that we'll share in this little 90-minute show that I really think people are going to be able to hold on to forever. Will it change everybody's life? No.
Sure.
But if it does so for one member of each audience, we've won.
Absolutely. Now, you talk about how this show is about, or you're targeting anyone that's going through anything.
100%.
And there was a time where our brother Tolesmo was
Yes.
going through,
The most.
he went through a fire and a half, dude.
Yeah.
Like he went through a fire and a
Yeah,
half.
worse than any of us could imagine. I'm sure.
And a lot of it unraveled on this very podcast.
Yes.
And your name was mentioned.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes. Many
Take
times.
us back there and tell us, one, how it made you feel, and if there's anything you'd like to say about it.
It did. I'll be honest. It made me feel sad and at the same time afraid.
Yeah.
I think many people are out there that don't know how much of a beating one mind can take.
Yes.
And I think we've been brought into this world of fairy tales where people think Prince Charming is going to come on a white horse and save you, or that you're going to grow up and one day just be happy and all your problems are going to go away. I wish that we were taught the world is going to be on your neck and stay on your neck until the end.
You have to learn to live with the jackboot
when I
on
look
your
at
neck. Yeah.
100%, you got to learn to expect it to be on your neck.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that you live with that resistance every single day. Tall as to me, is the greatest comedian this country's ever produced. In terms of storytellers,
Sure.
we used to own a comedy club in Melrose.
Yeah.
And we had a smoking room upstairs that couldn't see the stage.
Yeah.
All the comedians would hang out in the smoking room. They would never leave unless it's their turn to perform. Trollers is the only comedian in the country that when he was on stage, there were no comedians in the smoking room because all the comedians were coming out to watch. That's how good the guy is. So to watch somebody who I respect their talent that much and then became friends with, start attacking everybody around him that doesn't sing to his song or doesn't seem to be aligned without conversation. So what Trollers did was he had a lot of conversations without me being present, came to a number of conclusions. And weirdly, I saw him here with you outside the studio for the first time since before COVID.
And I remember, because I was with Toles by the elevators.
Yes.
When you walked out. And I felt a tension already between you guys.
We'd had some tension around him feeling like I'm trying to play in his space.
Sure.
You know me. I'm like you. I play in many spaces. And what had happened is he reached out to the business, and the business said, hey man, there may be a little bit of conflict of interest, and we don't want to put you in that position, which he took as we're coming for your stuff. But there was never ever a phone call to me. There was never ever a conversation with me. Then all of a sudden I was blocked on everything, and I was like, oh well, when the bra's ready. When I saw him with you was the first time I've ever seen him, and I'm the type of bra that I'll try. So if I feel like something can be rescued, I'll put some effort in.
Sure.
I extended a hand, I extended an olive branch, and he made it very clear that he's not ready. Well, he said he may never be ready to have a word with me. But what makes me sad is that's how hurt the world is. People are being hurt to a point that they don't trust anybody.
Sure.
People are being hurt to a point where they expect to be hurt. So in a relationship, even where you are coming with a sincere olive branch to try and go, yo, let's talk about this, let's mediate. We've actually been through a lot. What made me saddest about the podcast is I've done my best by Toles my entire life.
Sure.
And then to see Toles say he put us on with Toles, unfortunately, is one of those acts that never put anybody on. He definitely didn't put me on. Never booked me, never put me on. Yes, we've spoken, we've had advice. He came to perform on the platforms that we created. But for him to feel like I think he was like the Goliaths were birthed from Toles Mo, which is fabrication, which makes me worry because this is a person who I believe has a great heart, but the world has just done too much. I need Toles to heal. You know why? Because I love comedy so much that I think it would be a crime that the whole world doesn't get to watch him tell a story.
Sure.
Because it's that good. So it's frustrating, it's disappointing, but what I will tell you, Bra, and you know this, it is what it is. I can't help everybody. I can't change people's hearts. I can extend an olive branch. And Toles, I hope you watch this, brah. I'm still ready to have the conversation.
Sure.
Because deep down, I've got love for you. The things you said, dude, I honestly don't think that the chemicals in your brain meant those things, and I don't know how else to articulate that.
Sure.
So good luck, brah. You're that good. He's that good. When Chappelle disappeared?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm waiting for Toles to have the same type of rise,
Sure.
the phoenix from the ashes. So he's that good. I'll quote it again.
Yes, sir.
Toles, pops. That's how I rank it. Best I've ever watched.
Full stop.
And not in South Africa, in the world.
Sure.
In the world. Thank you for that question. I appreciate that.
Dude, brand new show. It's out at Theatre on the Square in
Theatre on
Sandton.
the Square.
By the library.
Yes.
By the library.
Yes, by the library. Walk past Mandela until you get to the library, and then turn left. Yeah, you got to remember Madiba Library.
Jolly
left.
good.
Come on, from El Dorado Park,
Jolly
my friend.
good, Ted.
From El Dorado Park. Those are the directions I'm giving. I used to just say turn right when you see an aeroplane on a garage. Now I'm talking about Madiba and library.
When you see the empty billboard and then you see the plane and then you turn right.
You know the story. You know the story. The happiness economy. Come and receive some joy. Come and share some stories.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite comment last night was, you made me feel whether I liked it or not.
Yes.
Come and feel. It's not just about laughing.
Yes.
Come and feel something.
Feel the show.
Come on. I can't wait for you to come through, bruh.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to come through.
I'll see you tonight. I'll see you tonight.
And I think we're going to have good times. Love you, brother. A lot.
I love you, my dude.
A lot.
Yes,
I
sir.
hate that you're thinner than me. Makes me mad. But other than that, I mean, Good for you. Look at him. I've never seen you this thin. In my life, I'm worried. Yeah.
You see, I'm trying to grow my happiness economy. So
No, listen. You grow your happiness economy by shrinking your waistline. I like it. It's a T-shirt.
absolutely.
It's a T-shirt.
And it's always nice when now you're told, at least you're not heavy anymore.
Hey! Yay! I always, whenever I see Moti, I always like, oh, mini fresh. And now you look more like him than ever. Like he used to look like you.
Yeah, no,
now
me-
you starting to look like him. Now.
Yeah.
Like a miniaturized version.
Yeah, me and Moti have those tomahawk heads there. So
The built-in tempo. The built-in tempo. The tempo comes standard. That's not a fade. That's just his head. That's
Jace, dude, I love you, respect you, and thanks
big
for
love
hanging
and
out with
respect,
us.
brother.
And shout out for doing something that you are intentionally being conscious about. That I don't want you to just laugh. You must leave your own somewhat the actual
No, 100%.
fuss.
100%.
Yeah.
I had an old man come up to me last night. Weirdly, Dan Nichols' father-in-law. He brought his father-in-law to the show.
Yes, sir.
And his father-in-law came to me and he's got this beautiful Greek accent and he said, I hope you know the silence is more powerful than the applause.
Absolutely.
And that's the type of show.
Absolutely.
There will be laughter, it's what we do, but there will be silence. And I promise you it's going to be more powerful than the applause.
And the longer and more awkward, the more you know the point hit.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. And I appreciate the kind words, but it's been one of the most gratifying experiences. It's as good for me as it is for the audience. I need it as much as the audience needs it.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, what a thing. Are you going to make me cry? It's been such a blessing.
We all need to heal, and the big question is, what role are you playing in your own happiness economy? That is the question, because at some stage you have to take responsibility.
And the sooner you realize that you are responsible.
Yeah.
I have this conversation with a lot of people, especially those in my inner circle.
Yeah.
I am not responsible for your happiness.
Sure.
I can be a catalyst. I can help grow it. I can provide environments for your happiness to thrive. But at its core, you have to own it.
Yeah.
You have to own it, be unapologetic. And also, the happier you make you, the happier you can make those that you want to make happy.
Yeah.
It's a counterintuitive thing, and it works. So far, so good.
Ladies and gentlemen, a PhD in the making, Jason Goliath is about to leave the building.
Come on. A pretty happy degree. That's the best I could come up with on short notice.
Oh, put ham there.
It is what it is.
What a legend.
Wow, What a Week presents Fresh Money. Proudly brought to you by African Bank.
Audacity to believe.
In a country filled with dreams, ambition, and boundless potential. Let me ask you this. What if there was a bank that challenged the status quo? A bank that defied all odds? A bank that believed in the audacity of its people? Forget advertising, because this is not just banking speak. This is real life.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nomzama Mbata.
I'm here because I know the distance between where you are and where you want to be. This little gap right here is called audacity. But you know what else is real? The rising cost of food, struggling to pay rent, or struggling to finance your business. When life is real, you need more than a bank. Which is why African Bank is scaling to provide fully fledged banking to back you. Thank you. African Bank now offers business and commercial banking, personal banking, and the audacious rewards program that rewards you for everyday banking. You see, audacity is more than just a fancy word. Be bold. African Bank will back you. Because when you grow, we grow. So, choose a bank that believes in you to advance your life. African Bank, audacity to believe.
Welcome to Fresh Money, brought to you by African Bank, audacity to believe. Our guest today has got 20 years of marketing experience. Yeah, he's a dope dude. He's a cool dude. I've done a TV show with him. We've traveled to Reunion Island. I'm just trying to show you that there's money in banking, guys.
Back when we were still young.
Absolutely. Please make some noise for Sbusiso Kumalo. He's the Group Chief Marketing, is it manager or officer?
Officer.
Officer at African Bank.
Yeah.
Sbu, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's good to see you, brother.
Long time, man.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
But your journey, I mean, your journey is almost parallel with South Africa's journey. Take us briefly through your journey.
Yeah. So I've been at African Bank now, I think it will be 3 years in August.
Yeah.
It's been an awesome ride.
Sure.
Lots of challenges, lots of changes. We are not the business we were. And at the same time, there's a lot of things that are also happening externally.
Yes, sir.
But my journey in marketing, I'm from Cape Town. I've worked for SA Breweries. I've worked for the other bank in Stellenbosch.
Yes, sir.
I think that's where I cut my teeth into financial services.
Sure,
I was there
sure.
for quite some time. I think in total, probably about 14 years or so.
Would you say being in that environment in Stellenbosch was a better route for you career-wise than had you been anywhere else?
I think it was I appreciate the opportunity of being there because I learned so much.
Sure.
Because I do not have any other benchmarks, I wouldn't know whether it was better. But if I had to do it again, I would.
Sure.
I can't discount, the growth. I can't discount the exposure. I can't discount the thinking. I can't discount, the work ethic and just the way of doing things. So for me, it really has shaped a lot of what I do today. And my grandmother's wisdom, eat the meat, spit the bones. So there's certain things that I don't take with me, but there's also quite a number of nuggets that really have been instrumental in just, what I learned, what I saw, and how to do things. Yeah.
Would you say corporate culture is corporate culture, banking culture is banking culture? Or do you have to make shifts when you move?
I think corporate culture is corporate culture. So whilst, traditional, so if you look at traditional banks, they almost like have a way of, and it's very rooted in the old, and it's very marble, and it's very kind of like,
I'll say it for you.
Grand.
It's very white male.
Yeah, well, yes. So now it has changed. I mean, we don't see ourselves necessarily as a bank. We're retailers, right? So the way we interact with the customers, the way we want to relate to the customers, the way we want to communicate and market to the customers certainly has changed. And the disruption of this industry really won't come from this industry. It will come from outside of this industry. So we need to be relatable. Because no one really wakes up and say, I'm thinking of a bank and it's a grudge purchase. If you never had to deal with the bank, you probably wouldn't.
The less people hear from the bank, the better.
The better,
generally.
And to prove that, many people don't even look at the bank statements. So you could go for months without even knowing. Exactly.
Guilty.
So how do you know that someone is not taking 20 Rand off your account every single month, or 99 Rand off your account?
You can stop at the 99.
Or $1,000.
You stop.
Oh, well, if you have $1 billion Rand, then what's $100? But and I think it's got to do with compounded is this love-hate relationship we find ourselves having with money. Because it's a source of joy, but it's also a source of stress because we never seem to have enough. And there always seems to be so many people that need it, I saw a meme the other day that says someone being upset over your money, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you, and that's just, I guess, the culture and the way of life.
Would you say the way your average black person on the continent or even in South Africa relates to and with money might also be rooted in the fact that for a lot of kids, they never had it? You saw grandma take 1 Rand and stretch it. You saw food on the table, but you look back and you wonder, how did she do it?
Certainly, exposure to it at an early stage really plays a huge role. if I look at my kids, I insisted, I made sure that they had bank accounts from a very early age. And I gave them a monthly allowance that were, related to what grade you're in. So in grade 1, it's $100 a month because, those birthday parties they go to, they add up.
Absolutely.
But at the time that they can, understand reading, getting a bank statement, budgeting, deciding what to purchase, even when it comes to birthday gifts for their friends.
Sure.
Using the card, using the ATM.
Using their own money.
Using their own money.
Now they have to think.
The first time I made my son use his own money was when I got tired of him losing his school uniform.
Oh,
so
yes.
I said, okay, well, on the weekend, no, don't worry. We're going to go buy a replacement blazer.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay, cool. Okay, so I'm not in trouble. And then I said, no, bring your bank card with you. So he didn't know what was happening until he had to go withdraw money and go buy the uniform. And that was the last time he lost school uniform.
It's always a lesson learned.
So it was a lesson learned from him. So the attitude to money is a bit different. When you're exposed to money, doesn't matter how much, but at a very early age. And I honestly think our government should do a lot to try make the education system, from an early age. I know that in high school, as part of life skills, they do some modules that have got to do with financing. But there's no reason why you can't start at early childhood in grade 1, grade R. Start teaching kids about money.
I've actually been arguing that if project management was compulsory from grade 1, if money literacy was compulsory from grade 1, if taxation was compulsory, because your life is a project.
Yes.
Your school projects are projects.
Yes.
But we don't teach kids to manage projects. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
To manage money.
Yeah.
And then when they're the same kids, these kids become adults who don't pay tax. Because we didn't teach them about it.
And they don't see the value, to say, this is just money that's just going.
Yeah.
So we need to kind of like bring that awareness earlier on and actually teach it and teach it in school. And I think we'll have, the worst is to finish school, get your degree, start working. And that's the very first time you understand, credit. I always used to say credit is like chocolate cake.
Yeah.
You have one slice, it's delight.
Exactly.
You have the whole cake, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So is the problem the credit, or is the problem the person consuming it?
You use cake, I use tequila.
Tequila, yeah.
One is
same
good,
thing.
but eventually
it catches up with you. So, and unfortunately, a lot of people get introduced to some of these concepts, which are necessary. You can never improve your life. You can never leverage your life if you don't have access to credit.
Absolutely.
It will just slow down the process of you moving and advancing yourself. So it really is a tool. Governments uses it, businesses use it, and as an individual, you can also use it responsibly.
People who can afford to buy things cash use it.
Yes, actually.
That's how much of an enabler it is.
Exactly.
Like, why should I blow my own money when I can blow yours?
When I can use someone else's money. But we need to expose people to the principles.
Sure.
Because if you don't get the principles,
you're in debt for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Is your obsession with people need to be taught, people need to learn, one of the reasons you're also published?
Yeah. So actually, I recall I was doing my MBA, I think in 2012.
Yeah.
When did Marikana happen? It was 2012, right?
Yeah, Marikana is about 12, 13 years ago. Yeah, about 2012.
2012, 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
2011, 2012. So we're sitting in class and this thing is happening and we're like, wow. And the irony of it is that most of the miners, we learned that I think at that time they were earning like 12 and a half a month salary. And, yes, it's hard work. You're like 10 kilometers and underground and the works. But I think the average salary in the country is way below that.
It's way below
So the question is, how can you live like that?
Yeah.
And yet you earn 12 and a half?
Yeah.
And obviously you peel the onion, they were over indebted and all sorts of other things. So I got obsessed with this idea of what are the drivers of people getting into debt. And I went about researching this. Because obviously when you're doing an MBA, you kind of like get fascinated about life. You have all these questions, all these things, all these theories. And so I spent, I think, about 2 years just researching the topic. And I came up with, these drivers that cause people to get into financial constraints. But I didn't want to be this crazy guy who's kind of like evangelizing something, and people don't understand, because it's kind of like weirdo stuff,
Yeah, it feels like I'm on a soapbox.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so people will look at you funny when you're So I had this knowledge, and a friend of mine and a colleague said, why don't you turn it into a book? So then I wrote a book called Mind Your Means.
Okay.
And the book really, I tried to reconstruct the content into palatable information, so that it's a pocket book, it's a guide. You can take notes, and you could learn about how to, because ultimately what we want to do as human beings is we just want to advance ourselves. So everything that we do is because there's a gap between where we are and where we want to go. And we're looking for something to just advance us. So people get indebted to take their kids to school, to give themselves shelter, we often think that a lot of it's consumption, but it really barely is about bread and milk.
It's survival.
It's about, real stuff. So those are still drivers, whether they get into trouble and can't pay it or not, but what was the actual driver? So it was about seeking to find, certain principles and behaviors that I can be able to share that will enable someone to make better life decisions. And I'll give you one example. And I know I made this mistake. So a lot of the times, we get married, but never really sit down and say, how many kids do you want to have? Right. We buy a house and never really think about the school we want to send our kids to. So you find that you live here, you work there, and your kids go to school there. We don't understand the psychological impact, both on yourself and your kids, to be like schooling outside of your neighborhood.
Your lives become commutes.
It becomes commutes. So you're stressed in the morning because you're rushing your kids because you need to leave by 7 o'clock because 7:30 they need to be in school, but then you need to be at the office. So it's like, if you could just say, this is how I want to structure my life.
Yes.
You probably could save yourself money, but you could also create a better quality of life. And a second example is just things like, you're purchasing a bed. So are you going to go for a cheap bed that you can that you have to change, kind of like replace after 5 years, or are you looking at a 30-year period? Because if you spend the money and know that I don't have to worry about this for 30 years,
it becomes worth it.
It becomes worth it. So I think at the end of that book, there are like life decisions that have such a huge bearing on how a lot of things work out, that I was just saying, just think about these.
And how we're not intentional about a lot of things that impact us long term.
Yes.
We almost just living day to day, hand to mouth. I'll deal with it when I get there.
Fresh, we don't have a 200-year plan. We don't even have a 10-year plan. We say, yes, we want to leave a legacy. We want to do this.
But we don't know what that legacy looks like.
But you just don't put it on paper. You don't say, hey, for the next 200 years, this is what I see. And I want my kids and whoever comes after to take over and at least have a plan. They can modify it. They can tweak it. But let's just start somewhere.
In fact, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and happens to be a Caucasian male, and he was telling me that his will has taken into account that he's got daughters, and if they have any of the properties as an inheritance, then that property can't be a part of where she's married into, because this property must live within the line of the family. But we never think about things like that. So if she gets married, her husband can't have his hands in the property. But we never think that far.
Yeah, because these are things that you need to think about and you need to exclude. But it goes back to our earlier conversation, right? It's knowledge, and it's exposure. So what have your parents passed down on to you, and what are you going to pass on? But now we've got access to technology. Now we've got access to a lot of things, and we just need to actually be pedantic about it.
Absolutely. We're going to move on. So we are in the Dr. Samuel Musiwenyane building.
Yes.
Who on earth is the good doctor? And why should we care?
You know, it's one of those stories that the minute you hear about it, you immediately fall in love with it.
Sure.
You fall in love with the characters. It's such a rich story of how a group of men and women defied the odds that you and I cannot even imagine. You know, when I first learned of the story, I just could not conceptualize the idea in my brain couldn't create a picture that in a world where you're not able to move without, freely.
Sure.
In a world where you've got no rights to do anything. The quality of your education is just, terrible. Then you've got a couple of, black dudes that are saying, let's start a bank.
Yeah.
You know, what must be going through your mind to be able to experience that? So, Ndate Samotsunyane, he's late, was one of the founders of African Bank, together with a lot of other people. They initially first formed an organization called NAFCOC, which still exists up to today. And the story of African Bank, the idea of African Bank, because everything starts off in the mind.
Yeah.
The idea of African Bank was in 1964. And it was at the inaugural NAFCOC conference in Soweto. And these businessmen and women got together to discuss the challenges they're facing as businesses. Challenges for growth, challenges for access to markets, and so many other things. And one of the key challenges that was really inhibiting their businesses was access to capital.
Sure.
So they decided that instead of complaining about this, why don't we just form our own bank?
Yeah.
So that we can...
As one does.
Yes. They don't want to lend money to us.
Yeah.
So let's form our own bank.
There's enough of us.
There's enough of us. In fact, there were 16 million black South Africans.
Exactly.
And if we start our own bank, we could help ourselves as businesses, but also we could help our people.
Sure.
Because they need homes, they need cars, they need to send their kids to school. And we can be able to bring that to them. So Ndate Samotsunyane and Dr. Richard Maponya and a lot of others were the founders. So we renamed this building in honor of his legacy because we are nourished by the spirit of audacity that they had.
Yes.
And that's really what gives us, that gives us so much, I'll say, energy to really take that idea they had and say, this dream should never die, and we are going to continue to work to realize it.
So there's the building rename, but there's also a brand refresh, as it were. Take us through that thinking.
We just changed our logo,
Yeah.
so we've got a new logo. We came up with a strategy the new strategy, and African Bank has gone through lots of ups and downs. And it really was a fully fledged bank before it was curated. And unfortunately, the guys that the business was sold to stripped everything else and only left unsecured lending as a product offer. And then drove that very hard. And I guess it was at a time when we had, achieved independence, and there was a emerging black middle class, and people were moving out of the township into townhouses, and people are buying homes and extending their homes and all sorts of. So commercially, they saw the opportunity and they went for it. I think it was a mistake because the idea of African Bank was to be a fully fledged bank.
Absolutely.
So when we launched our new strategy with the new, I would say, management team, it was really driven by our CEO. And was amongst the number of things within the strategy, one of it was to de-risk our balance sheet and diversify our business. So get back into business banking. Because this is why the bank was originally started.
I was going to say, you went back to the why.
So we went back to the why.
Yes.
Why we existed, why we started in the first place. And when you're expanding your business, you could either build it internally or you could buy it externally and come and plug it. So we bought Greenrod Bank and we brought Greenrod Bank into African Bank, and we're still in the process of transitioning that business. We also brought in Ubank. So with the expansion and with the colleagues that came in from these businesses that bring, we're defining our culture, we're defining ourselves as a new entity, and we felt it was necessary to come out with this new confidence, with this new stature that is rooted in where we're coming from, but very deliberate about where we're going.
Absolutely.
And you see that from the icon. We used to just have our seed that had 2 elements, and now this has 3 elements to really represent, business banking, to represent personal banking, and to also represent the customer.
Sure.
In this new refresh and this new confidence that we have.
Would you say this is African Bank leading from the front in terms of saying we have the audacity to believe that we're going to live our own tagline?
Yeah. And it's a very interesting question because marketing sometimes can be about coming up with fancy words. And audacity is a word that describes what this business is.
Yes, sir.
So it wasn't a briefcase term that no one else is using. Okay, we can own it. No, it's the sum of what this business is. The most banks don't survive a curatorship. Most banks don't survive a curatorship.
Yeah, often your curatorship is your way out.
That's like, Sambu, VBS, I think, and many more around the world. But that tenacity and that ability to bounce back from adversity, and going back to the 10 years it took them from 1964 to raise the money and meet all the conditions of the license to open up the bank.
All the hoops that were made to jump through.
You have no idea what the hoops were. I mean, some of them are crazy. Like, for example, the conditions were you couldn't employ any white people.
Yeah.
And so, okay, you've got a group of black people that are going to start a bank. Where are they going to get the talent from?
Exactly.
Who's coming from banking that would have the skills?
African Bank was allowed to operate because it was meant to fail.
It was meant to fail because they never thought it would start in the first place.
Yeah.
So all of that is really just audacity. So leading, I believe, it's not a matter of leading from the front, but lead from where you are.
Okay.
This is where we find ourselves.
Sure.
And we might not be in the front. We might not be in the back. Regardless of where we are, this is our story.
Yes.
And if that story inspires you, and if that story makes you believe, we're a bank that says, "Hey, we believe in you."
Yes, sir.
So it doesn't matter who you bank with, but if you were to consider a bank, consider one that believes in you.
Absolutely.
Which is us.
You also believe in the star power of Nomzamo Mbata. Let's go through that relationship. Let's talk about the advert. The advert is dope. The advert is now. Let's talk about that campaign.
Yeah, I think it's a great campaign. Obviously, we're so involved in the campaign. So, I'm really proud of what the team has been able to put together. So our journey of repositioning started with our initial campaign with Ricky Rick. So we're finishing off a documentary that we worked on with Ricky Rick and Nadia Nakai. I think his passing just put some brakes on some of that work. So that was the first time we reclaimed our heritage because nobody knows the story.
Sure.
And the question was, why? Why is it being suppressed?
Yeah.
How come it's not the case study that you learn about when you go to business schools?
Yes, sir.
How come it's not the case study that kids learn in university, in high school? I mean,
wasn't a part of our history.
Yes, we're often told that blacks can do nothing, have started nothing, have created nothing. But here's the evidence.
Yeah.
Right? Against all odds. So why is it not something that is really spoken about? So we had to reclaim that. Why? Because we want this story to inspire this nation.
Sure.
So we started with that journey and we started the communication. So with the new campaign with Nomzamo, we needed to communicate that we are now a fully fledged bank.
So we're back.
We're back. We're back in business. The African bank that you knew is no longer this business. This business is personal banking.
Yeah.
So I can bank you. Business banking, I can bank you. And we also have commercial banking. And we've got a rewards program. So there's a lot of
Did you guys win an award the other day in Dubai?
Yeah, well, I don't want to brag, but I think really the award is for our customers.
Sure.
Because it's our customers that really make us who we are. And with the over 80,000 customers that every month vote to make a choice to walk into our branches or open up accounts, they're choosing themselves.
Sure.
And they're choosing their financial well-being and their financial future above anything else. And we really appreciate that. And we've got we reached the milestone of 500,000 members of our rewards program because it's something you opt in. We don't just put you there automatically.
Exactly.
You have to want it.
You want to be there.
You have to want it, yes. They're getting real benefits from their day-to-day behavior. We're able to give them points. They can use those points for groceries, for vouchers, for airtime, for electricity, for so many things.
So the real points, you don't have to jump through any more hoops after that.
You get points, and then you get points that matter. Okay. These ones are points that matter.
Absolutely.
It's not points where you have so many billions, but what do I do with them? You need to go there. No. Yeah. These are points that matter. So we won the award. So Nomzamo was there to communicate all of this.
Yes.
And continue on the communication of the bank and a bank that really believes in its people.
Sure.
And we believe in the audacity of our people. There's so many people with ideas. There's so many people with great things they want to do. They just lack someone who believes in them.
Sure.
So you go to the cemetery, that's where you find all the ideas because they die with them. We can change that. We can say, hey, we will back you.
Sure.
Because we don't back the horse. We back the jockey.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we understand that if you are committed, because you are committed to this podcast, you make sure that every single week you're going to create the content, you're going to post the content, you're going to market the content, you're going to make sure that the reach, the quality of the content. So we back you, the jockey.
And half the time, in fact, all the time, the horse doesn't even know it's in a race.
Exactly.
So you have to back the jockey.
You have to back the jockey because that's the person that
is fully away.
Stays up at night.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because in most businesses, it's the entrepreneurial spirit. So you find that, because it's your baby, it's your thing, it's your baby. So you're passionate about it and everything. So we did that. We do need to have influences that are going to give us that take our communication to cut through the clutter. People are being bombarded with communication.
And with authenticity.
With authenticity.
Yes,
so in finding the right ambassador, we had to look at someone who represents what we represent.
Sure.
And when we could find those kind of like parallels, then we reached out and said, hey, we would like to work with you. But the relationship is not just one of we using your face. It's a commercial relationship.
Yes, sir.
So we've also signed what we call affiliate banking. So she'll be launching an account of her own.
That is dope.
So there's some commercial value. So in the States, it's that's how they do business. You have examples of big brands that collaborate, with other big brands in terms of individuals that collaborate with big brands. And, they're able to create, a revenue stream for themselves.
Sure.
As, in the ad, when we say, when you grow, we grow, we mean it.
Sure.
So if Nomzamo grows, it means that we are also growing.
I'd even go as far as saying, why don't we have a Nomzamo pay-as-you-go Visa card? So
she's got a entity that we already started working on the I would say the value proposition of her account, and it will be backed by African Bank.
Sure.
But you'll be able to open up an account. Although it is really skewed towards females, and some of the I would say the services that she's been speaking about have got to do with things that mostly affect female, like gender-based violence, a call center where you can get help, panic buttons if you're in trouble, and all sorts of things. But isn't it a great thing that we could work with an influencer, with the brand, and say, how about we create an account that's your account, backed by African Bank? These are not just discussions we want to only reserve for big corporates that need to have, kind of like a financial services solution. We're saying we can also do it. We can also test the waters. And I think it speaks to how open-minded we are as a bank.
Banking with a purpose.
Yes.
Love it.
It starts there.
Brother man, we are out of time.
Already?
I think we're already 15 minutes over. That lady there that's looking at me with daggers in her eyes is saying we're already 15 minutes over time. So, okay. Oh yeah, if you don't say it, it didn't happen.
Listen, in marketing, there's a term we always like to use when we need to go over budget. We say forgiveness is better than permission.
Absolutely. I'd rather say I'm sorry than say, Mama, may I?
Yeah.
Okay, Mom, we're almost done, I promise. Minding Your Means. Where do we find that book?
Unfortunately, it's sold out.
Oh, goodness.
It's sold out, but I'm considering updating it and doing a rerun.
I think do a rerun, do an audiobook. I'll voice it for you for free.
Okay.
So that we also have the audio version.
Yeah.
Some people are too lazy to read.
Yeah,
Let's not give people reasons
just
not to read.
Especially the youngsters, they just want to put their AirPods and off they go. So I'm definitely that's something I'm working on.
And what's next for the bank, like in the near future?
We've got a lot of things that we need to do. We need to develop home loans. We need to develop car finance. We're looking at, kind of like solutions and propositions for the different market segments. We've got a solution for, I would say, first jobbers that, we'll be bringing into the market quite soon. Business banking will be launching as well, our business banking transaction account. And, that's really going to give quite a lot of businesses access to, a bank that you can open up an account and do your day-to-day transaction as a business, but also get access to credit, which is what a lot of businesses need. They need, but besides the day-to-day account and the credit, the solution is to support you with other services, like doing your VAT return, doing your tax return. So it's almost like, how do we package all these services in a box so that when you bank with us, we're able to take all that admin and just so that you can focus on what you do. Because, this is what you love doing. And the background,
let us do the rest.
Someone else must do that for you. So that's how we want to position it.
Great stuff. Brother man, thank you so much for having us
Thank you
in
for
your lovely building.
Thank you so much.
I'm certain the good doctor is smiling upon all of you.
I know that one of the things that he often said was that for him, it has always been his wish that we take this bank back to its rightful owners, which is for the people. So that's why we are saying we're a black bank. Unapologetically. And we are a bank for the people. It's managed by the people, and it should be owned by the people.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the big marketing boss man at African Bank, hanging out with Sbusiso Kumalo. This is this week's edition of Fresh Money, brought to you by African Bank. Audacity to believe.
This is
What a week.
What a week. Celebrity guest.
Celebrity guest.
Our next guest, I've been a fan of since 2013. The first Saturday of January 2013 was when I first saw her on the TV. I've been a fan since, and it's an honor, it's a privilege to have her in the building. I think she's a resilient woman. She's been through hell. She's been to hell and back. And because she is beyond, she's beyond Phoenix, not even a fire would stop her. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make some noise for Nadia Nakai. Hey you, what are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
So the first thing you do when you walk in here is moan about how early in the morning it is.
No, for real, Fresh, this is actually uncalled for. Uncalled for. You see, I can't even speak, it's this early.
Yeah, your English is warming up.
My English is Englishing.
She'll show
I
up.
understand you're attached to breakfast, but it's a podcast, you don't have to shoot in the morning.
In fact, we wanted to do a pajama party with you.
I didn't know.
Yeah, we wanted to shoot at home and bring you breakfast in bed.
I don't know why they didn't tell me.
No, then we're like, no, what if it starts a rumor? Because then you'd be the first one to drink that for.
And let me tell you something. Every time I take a picture with a male, there's a rumor. Something happens. Like today, I'm sure when I post me and you, there's going to be a rumor.
How are you managing the policing of Nadia Nakai?
I'm not managing it well. I'm not managing it well because how do you manage the public opinion, the court of public opinion? How do you manage the internet? I just live my life, honestly, and I feel like I'm friends with a lot of people that happen to be males, but every time I have some sort of picture, like recently it was Dali Wonga, and I'm just like, guys, please relax. Like we literally just co-workers.
I was about to say, is there any aspect of the policing you go through where you're like, I'm actually sick and tired of this?
I think, I think just like negative energy, because people have a lot of confidence when they're behind their phones.
Oh, dude.
But never face-to-face, 100%. Yeah. But it's never face-to-face, thank God. But I feel like that's the one thing I'm just tired of. I just block at this point because I'll wake up and I'll be like, the devil chose me today. I'm going to be like, I wish your people also would just disappear, But I'm just like, actually, I can't do that.
So I've been a fan of yours since Saturday, the 5th of January, 2013.
Wait, you know the dates?
I know the date because it was the first time I saw you on Yo TV. It was a Saturday morning. We spent the whole night partying in Cape Town and I couldn't sleep. And SABC 1 is like my favorite TV channel to this day.
Yeah.
And I tuned in and they were talking about, youngsters coming into rap. And I think you were on the panel there. And you caught my attention then.
That is so crazy because when I did that, it was a competition, a mixtape competition.
Yes, Yes,
I
it
actually
was.
won, which is funny because I was a rapper, but I won a DJ gig. So I could have been a DJ, to be honest, but I decided to pursue that.
Yeah.
And when I did that show, Cypher actually saw me on TV as well. So you guys were obviously partying together in Cape Town because he also woke up early and saw me and he decided to sign me.
It was January, so a lot of Joburg was in Cape Town.
Yeah.
So chances are Cypher was also watching from Cape Town.
Yeah, so after he saw me on that show, he actually signed me to his record label and I was with him for about 3 years.
Yeah, because I remember watching you and saying to my wife, I think she kicks ass.
Oh, thanks.
I think she's going to kick ass.
Thank you.
So when I
appreciate
told her
that.
today, oh, I'm finally interviewing Nadia on the podcast, she's like, your dream finally came true.
Yay! Thank
Like,
you
leave
so
me
much.
alone. That's why you're my ex-wife.
Oh.
Anyway, sorry, too soon?
Yeah. That's shady.
Now, going back to those days, those humble days, when you were just a starry-eyed kid with a dream, and looking back at where you are right now, the moves you're making, the influence you have, the clout you have, the fact that you can't breathe without the internet shaking. That's a journey and a half, dog.
It is a journey, but I think if I had an opportunity to go back and tell my younger self something, I think I would have told her to trust her voice a little bit more because I think like over my career, I mean, I've always had a learning spirit. I always want to learn from people that have done better than me, but I feel like I really allowed them to be in the driver's seat of my career, most of my career, you know? And I think if I just trusted myself, it would be better now because I still have this level of, I'm not sure. I need someone to validate me. I need someone to tell me that this is good enough. I need someone to tell me this. I think this is the first time in my life where I'm actually doing everything on my own without an opinion of somebody that's bigger than me or higher than me.
Where do you think it comes from, though, that you needed some sort of approval from someone else, a cosign maybe, or it was almost like a safety numbers thing?
Yeah.
That maybe if I'm hiding behind
someone.
Yes.
I think because of my career, I always had an influential person. If it wasn't Saifo, Sipo, it was Casper Nyovest. It was, so there was always somebody that was around me that I looked up to. And you know, when you look up to someone, you can't help but allow them to kind of drive your career because they're doing so well for themselves. But sometimes what they're doing for themselves is not actually good for what you're trying to do, you know? And I think that's where I kind of fell short because I didn't allow myself to explore my voice in music, explore my sound, what I really want to do. And I think it kind of reflected for the longest time. But I think now where I'm at now, I'm excited for it because I'm allowed to explore. I'm allowing myself to explore music, to explore sounds, to explore things that I want to do. Like my new song is literally 3-step.
I was about to say,
know?
is this you saying, now that I have found myself, good luck to all of you all.
Good luck to everybody. And I'm telling you, everybody that's sleeping on me, when they wake up, the price is going to be so disrespectful. Because, I mean, you know, I think in the industry, the toughest thing is we look for, again, or maybe me specifically because the way that I'm brought up, but we look for validation from people. And you don't get that. You don't get that from your peers unless they see you. It's not like they'll publicly play your song or they'll publicly like comment on your post or whatever. And you kind of feel like, oh my gosh, if they don't, it means like it actually doesn't matter.
In fact, I reposted a meme 2 days ago that says...
You love memes. I just checked your story today.
I'm the meme god. and someone posted a meme that says, you guys are very quick to say rest in peace. But congratulations. You live and fall sick before you say congratulations
100%,
to anyone.
100%. And people don't give people flowers when
but
they're
they'll
still
RIP
alive.
you very fast.
Very fast.
And go search for a picture. I must have a picture with Nadia. Otherwise, I'm not posting RIP.
100%. Or like a previous conversation that was probably like a year ago. And like, oh, I just spoke to her. You know, it's actually so crazy when people pass how... It's shocking how people can act and how people actually carry themselves during those periods and afterwards.
In fact, I remember when Killer Kau passed away.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously we were all upset and we'd lost like literally a handful of Amapiano stars in one accident. And I remember someone tagging Euphonic, saying to Euphonic, how come you have not posted anything about Killer Kau?
Yeah.
And I remember saying to this dude, so if I don't post the rest in peace, does this mean I'm not mourning? And who are you to police anyone's mourning?
100%.
Is that what we've reduced our humanity to?
Yeah.
That if nobody said congratulations, Nadia, or if nobody said rest in peace, so-and-so, that means they don't care. It's actually 100%. Pathetic.
It's pathetic and it's scary because like in the state that I'm in a journey of healing.
Sure.
And obviously my page is showing different things. And people police that to be like, how could you post this? How could you post looking like this? And
shouldn't you be mourning?
Shouldn't you still be mourning?
Isn't there a bit of bum there?
Yeah, exactly that post. Exactly that post that they're talking about. You know, and it's just like, oh my gosh, so I can't live. And I just realized that, you know what, I had to stop publicly talking about how I feel because they feel like, because I'm talking about it, they feel like they are entitled to an opinion of how I carry myself and what I do and how I'm feeling on it every single day. And honestly, people don't understand that social media, you only show the best part of yourself. I'm not going to show you the days, 100%.
It's a snapshot.
100%. I'm not going to show you the days where I can't even get out of bed. You know what I mean? But they have their opinions, and you know, the court of public opinion is a difficult one to fight. And I'm just like, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm going to live my life the way I want to live it because I'm still here.
In fact, you speak about how you have finally found your voice, even creatively. I mean, the fact that your brand new single, Umfazi, is a 3-step tune.
Yeah.
Take us through deciding that, okay, I'm doing it.
Honestly, the funny thing is I was listening to Black Motion's new album, Rebirth of the Drum, and I was so obsessed. Like, I'm like, in my previous album, I did explore ancestral sounding music, and I really paid homage to my heritage, which is from Zimbabwe. So I've always had that kind of feeling, like that Black Panther energy of like the ancestral plane and being very spiritual in that elements. But I listened to that album, it really ignited something in me, and I hit up one of the producers on that project. I said, please, can we have a session? I'd love to explore this type of music with you. His name is Osays, and he came through to one of my boot camps, and we made a few songs, and I was just like, okay, cool, like this is the energy. And you know what, I feel like you can't ignore how exportable 3-step is, how exportable Amapiano is. It's really put us on the map. It's inspiring to see how South Africa has really got this global footprint, and you want to be part of that. And I feel like as a musician, you should be allowed to explore music because you're a creator, and I'm a creator, and that's what I've done. And I really love my song Mfazi. And also it's a powerful song because it's literally talking about how resilient women have been. I think I've been very resilient in the past couple of months or year because of what we've all been through. And I think women are very good at pushing through the pain, being able to come out on the other side strong and powerful and standing on your own 2 feet, you know?
If we were to have resilience awards, who would your top 3 be?
1, Winnie Mandela. 100%. 2, Connie Ferguson. And I'll also say Babes Odumo. And 4, Bianca Makado. And I'm going to mention those people because...
I was about to say, why?
Yeah, well, I want to mention those people. 1, because Winnie is iconic. And some people say I look like her, by the way. So I might be the reincarnation. But
multiply,
you know, I think she's so iconic, and she also is the inspiration for my album, which is exciting to explore.
And the epicness of Mama Winnie is that it doesn't matter what she was going through, what she was being put through, she always looked regal.
Always looked real and classy and just very poised.
Even when she was fighting those young cops who were disrespecting her on video, she was always regal.
100%.
Yo, Mama Winnie. I'm sorry.
Godly.
You can't be touched.
Can't be touched. She's the head Mfazi. And then I said Connie Ferguson because I feel like it's going through what I went through. I feel like looking at her and how resilient she's been able to continue and have such grace and move forward is amazing and inspiring. Babes Odumo also for the same thing, and Bianca also for the same thing, because these are the women that I'm looking at, and these are the women that I'm pulling inspiration from. And I think Babes has had it a very tough time. It's been very tough, but I see you, and she's on live almost every single day, and she is in studio and she is working. And let me tell you, that is the hardest thing to do when you're in pain.
For the show to go on. It takes a lot.
It takes a lot, and people don't understand it until they've gone through it. It's crazy how many people actually don't understand pain. They don't understand loss. They don't get it. And now that I'm in that kind of space, when I look at them, I'm just like, yo, this thing is not easy. What you doing? And I give them their flowers while they still can smell them.
In fact, before I ask you about your relationship with Bianca, I mean, for instance, 2 weeks ago, we lost our creative producer, Kuvesh Mohan. And I just realized today as I was driving to work that it is the first time in my entire life that I lose someone that I saw every single week. I've actually never lost someone I see every single week before.
That is such a blessing for you, though. That is amazing that you, not to downplay it, but I feel like the fact that was the first time you've lost someone that you see every single day.
It's weird.
It's weird.
In fact, we're discussing with the team how weird it is that we've been recording this every week for the last year and a half. And now he's gone.
Yeah.
And then the show must go on.
Yeah.
Like, how does the show go on?
How does the show go on? I know, I hear you. It's difficult though. But I think that's going back to my points is I think a lot of people haven't lost somebody that they see every day.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, it's like I don't know how to explain that kind of like pain. So I am really sorry. Condolences to you and the team because it's actually very painful.
Bianca's been showing up for you though.
She is one of the most amazing women. She's really, and I feel like she's the only one that can really understand it because she also was in a relationship or married to a very monumental person, someone you can't avoid. You hear them on the radio, you see them on TV. Fans walk up to you and want to speak to you, and you know, so that's, you don't know if it's actually better or worse when you go through it so publicly where you can't even walk in a mall because people just come up to you and say, "I'm so sorry," or you know. So speaking to her was like the best thing for me, and she's like really a big sister. She's powerful. She continues Cotton Fish. She continues to push his legacy forward. And it's inspiring. And she's always been inspiring to me, to be honest. But during this period, she's really been one of my closest confidants. So shout out to Auntie B.
Is there pressure to look back at a loss and say, I need to carry on this part of someone's legacy, that I need to make sure this continues happening?
Yeah.
Is there the pressure?
There is that pressure at the beginning because you panic. You feel like, oh my gosh, he's not here. You don't want people to forget them. You don't want people to stop playing their music. And you feel like you have to think, what can you do to keep him in the conversation? And then
and to quote an epic song, all eyes on me right now.
100%, you know? But honestly, as time goes by, you end up realizing that you don't have to do anything. He did enough to secure his legacy for forever. I mean, Pro Kid is still going to be somebody that we speak about for years to come. But at the beginning, you're in a panic mode. You're like, oh my gosh, you don't want people to forget him, you know? But you realize he's done too much. There's nothing that you need to do. All you need to do is preserve his legacy. You don't need to elongate it when he's not here, you know? And I think that's what us as a family also have realized that we don't need to do. We don't need that pressure. And yeah, he's a powerful person. I mean, we hear his music in the club constantly because it's that impactful to the culture, it's that impactful to the country.
Every single gig I go to, at least 3 AKA songs.
100%.
Like minimum.
100%.
And like people lose their minds.
Exactly. It's timeless music.
I was like, dude, what have you done?
Yeah, it's timeless music. And I think you don't have to do anything more than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, the other day, I was supporting Lulo Cafe's vinyl nights at Opera. And Uncle Tony came through.
Yay.
So we partied a bit with Uncle T. It was so dope.
I love that. He's always in the spaces, though. You'll find him everywhere.
Yeah. No. And we spoke about, and he was telling me about, listen, dude, I've been a fan of yours, like, from before you were pushing my son's music all those years ago. Because I used to play a ton of AKA stuff on 5FM.
Yeah.
Before he, became the big mega, super mega that he became.
Yeah.
So just to hear Uncle Tony remind me that, dude, we were there with you as you were pushing dude.
Yeah, and it's crazy how much he looks like him, isn't it?
It's the wildest thing.
It's the wildest thing. They literally have the same head and the same ears. It's actually very crazy. But he's his dad, so I get it.
Speaking of dads, it was Father's Day this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Does that mean anything to you?
Well, personally, not so much because my father was my mother. I was raised by a single woman and she was a powerful woman, great. But I think for Cairo, all of us were just very concerned. Yes. We're always concerned about the monumental moments. But she was okay. We went to go watch the movies. We had a great day. She's a very strong, resilient kid, which is wild to see because, she's very concerned about other people's emotions and feelings. And she's just the sweetest girl and I love her so much. So being able to spend that day with her was very special to me as well. And I think special to her because I feel like when she's around me, she kind of feels like there's a part of her dad because I'm just happy that I was able to meet her when Keenan was still alive because she still kind of associates me with her dad, and I love that I'm able to give that whatever, how big or small that might be. I'm happy to kind of contribute to her smiling in some way.
We talk about how wild things are in terms of, for instance, people policing your shit and what to do. The fact that the police even a child.
How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Sometimes I get so annoyed because I'll be out with her. Yeah. Even when it's out, like we went to Haribiswa Dam with Zintle. Yeah. And Zintle is very sweet.
Sure.
I'm a little bit of back up. Okay, back up. Because sometimes people don't realize that you're actually hollering at a kid. Boundaries. Cairo, Cairo, come take a picture. How, Cairo, you don't want to take a picture of me? And Cairo's like anxiety, she's a child. So sometimes I'm like, yo, back up, yo. She's a kid. And, you know, sometimes you have to just like, people realize like, she's a child. Please don't be hollering at her, trying to get pictures because she's a kid. But now she's also getting to a point where she says, I don't want to take a picture. I'm not allowed to take a picture. She's starting to talk for herself because at this point, you have to defend yourself. It's very important, you know? Which is good. So I feel like I'm serving that Keenan energy when we out saying, back up. Back up. Leave us alone. I'm with my family.
Up, mother huffer.
yeah.
It's like, Cairo, I'll use the full words when you're older.
100%. And also the policing thing, like when they see me posting pictures and it's a little bit risque, they're like, yeah, you're a role model. Cairo's on Instagram. Cairo is not on Instagram.
Sure.
She is a child. If you think she's sitting there looking at the Instagram feed with all your nonsense comments and all your pictures, you're delusional. She is managed. Her page is managed by adults. So please relax.
And also, go raise your own kids.
Go raise your own kids.
Like, why are you so concerned about other people's children?
Also, I don't have kids, guys. I don't have to be the role model for your children.
It's like, Nadia, why are you posting a picture like that? You're going to be a bad influence for our children. Let me tell you something. If you cannot influence your own children,
come on.
You are the problem.
You are the problem. Because, come on, please, give me a break also. I'm giving my laugh.
I'm not saying you must show us more balm, but I'm saying on the days you want to show balm, they must leave you alone.
They must leave me alone, but they won't. They will troll me.
Motherfuckers.
They will troll me, and I'm used to it.
No, the reason I was asking about Father's Day is there was a time you spoke about how you met your dad after 30 years.
Yeah, how crazy. That was wild.
How did it feel, that moment?
Honestly, he did contact me after all the media that was happening around me at that time, and he was just like, let me reach out. And meeting him, a lot of people would have been like, I'm so angry. Why weren't you there for my whole life? Or,
sure.
You know, but with me, I wasn't angry. I was just more curious to find out, like, what do you know about my family and what stories do you have to tell me? I had no animosity because, honestly, I lived a very good life. My mom provided for me and I didn't need for anything, you know? So I don't feel like I lost anything. But when I did meet him, I felt like I gained a lot and I really appreciated meeting him and hearing the stories. So I was 100% okay with, I wasn't angry, and I'm still not angry. You know, our relationship is not going to be thick as thieves because obviously I don't know him, and he's not based here. He's based in Canada. But it is what it is. But it was nice to meet him, and I feel like I needed to. For my own self, I needed to meet him and say, okay, I've met my dad once in my life.
I was going to say, what itch did meeting him scratch for you?
Curiosity and just learning about my lineage, learning about where I come from his side, because I only knew my mom's side. I only know my mom's side. So being able to hear stories from him was very amazing. And I really appreciate I was able to see him while he's still, because he's old, eh? I'm not gonna lie, he's grown. But I'm happy I'm able to have had that conversation while he was still alive.
Do you ever ask Ma what happened?
All the time. And I feel like, life happens, you know, life happens. I don't think it was a specific thing. My mom's a very powerful woman.
I've met her. In fact, I think it was her and a bunch of your aunts.
Yes, my aunts and my cousins at go-karting.
Yes.
Our family is a lot of women. My grandmother being the matriarch. So we're very self-sufficient, very independent, so we can be a little bit of a bulldozer. As well as myself. But so I know there's a lot of contributions of being too headstrong, and it is what it is. This is how we are.
It was actually so dope seeing you in a relaxed environment with your family. Go-karting, having fun away from the lights and the noise and the judgment and everything else.
No, it was really nice. It was nice bumping into you too also.
And it was dope taking a picture with your mom. I was like, oh, okay, she knows me. Okay.
Yeah, of course. Oh my gosh. As soon as you walked in, they were like, oh my gosh, DJ Fresh. Oh my gosh. Even my aunt. And I was just like, guys, relax. I was even shy to actually approach you because I was just like, shame, because I know how it feels when you're with your family. You don't want to be taking pictures and being bothered, and I get it. But I was just like, they were not going to let me let you go. So I apologize for that.
I've been doing that for 30 years now.
I get it.
I literally have flash blindness.
Really?
From just taking pictures in nightclubs.
I can get that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can get that because there's some people that will be famous forever, and you're one of those people. There's some people that are famous for now, and we know who they are, and we won't mention them. But there's some people that will just be famous for the rest of their lives. And I mean, you are from such an iconic era. You'll always be famous.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you
you
very
might as well
much.
just wear glasses. Get used to wearing zazas.
You see, that's the one thing I'll never do.
Why?
It's the weirdest thing. And you know, I understand the method behind the madness of why especially Hollywood stars wear shades in public, even indoors. Apparently, a lot of it started at LAX.
Really?
Because LAX is notorious for paparazzi. So when a Jack Nicholson arrives, there's 20 cameras and there's flashes all the time. So apparently wearing sunglasses indoors started because of that.
Oh, I see.
Where you're protecting your eyes from this flash madness.
I can imagine because I see like videos of like Beyonce on the red carpet. The flashing is
It is
actually intense.
wild.
It doesn't stop. It's like there's even a video of Michael Jackson where he's looking down and there's no flashes, and every time he looks up, it's and he looks down because he's reading, and I'm like, that is intense. And the paparazzi culture overseas is nothing like, we're still very light.
We're babies.
We're still babies.
We're
But
babies.
like for me, why I wear shades is because it's too early, and Fresh asked me to come to a podcast so early in the morning. I don't have lashes on and I'm trying to look, okay, that's the reason why I'm wearing
And I was
lashes.
trying to convince her that, dude, you look hot, I'm
Thanks.
sure, when you wake up.
No, I don't. I look like a crazy ass person. No ways.
Can you imagine if you let people see that side of you?
No.
You can't.
I trended on social media a couple years ago. Don't you remember with no
I
makeup?
remember.
They even put in the Isidingo freaking scripts. Do you understand how Isidingo? Actually, I hate Isidingo. Is Isidingo still running? Isidingo is actually full of cup.
I think you hated them so much. The good Lord is like, hold my beer. Let me shut this down.
I can't believe it. So I'm very concerned. And I'm like, even when I go out shopping or whatever, and people are like, can I please take a picture? I'll tell them and I say, I don't have makeup on. You know I trended for this. I'm not doing it. Oh, I'm going to wear glasses and say, you're going to have to get it together. Because sometimes they're like, take off your glasses. I'm like, no, I'm not taking off my glasses.
But you were speaking off camera. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this on camera or not. You
Yeah.
were talking earlier on about how you are finally making peace with your forehead, for instance.
Oh.
And I was saying to you, dude, I've lived with my forehead my entire life.
You don't have a big forehead.
I've got a big forehead.
You do not have a big forehead.
Dude, my forehead looks at Rihanna's forehead on some Let's Make Babies.
Are you kidding?
I
Wait.
swear.
This is the body dysmorphia I'm talking about, Fresh. You do not have a big forehead.
Are you for real?
You might have a big head.
So as a result, I've got a big forehead.
No, your head circumference is big, but you do not have a big forehead. I wish I had a forehead like yours.
I'm going to claim that I'm big forehead gang.
You're not big forehead. We don't accept you. We've actually declined your application. Please, can you go?
So I must
refer
go grow
to
it.
this
Or I
No.
must go increase my hairline.
No, you don't need to. You're fine. You do not have a big forehead. And I know some guys that have big foreheads. You do not have a big forehead. Your hairline is clean. You're perfect. You're fine. You're fine.
I've got a big forehead. But
I've
anyway.
got a big forehead.
So you're saying you are coming to terms with it.
I
What does
am.
that mean?
Honestly, you know what? Having a big forehead is actually fantastic for somebody that installs lace fronts so much because I have so much, real estate to work with.
Absolutely.
But now I think that I'm getting older, you don't care about those things as much, and I actually really want to take care of my natural hair. I mean, I used to have dreadlocks for the longest time, so I've always been into like looking after my hair, but when I cut them off, I feel like when you wear wigs so often, you forget about your natural tresses, and I just like, no, I actually want to focus on getting my hairline together, growing my natural hair, because my hair actually is growing under these wigs, and I'm actually kind of proud of it, but I need it to be stronger because it's thinning, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take some time to just let my hair breathe, focus on getting it to a healthy state, so that I can wake up in the morning and not have to install a wig because Fresh asked me to be here at 9:30. I can just put it in a pony and bounce.
You know, you could have been here at 6 a.m. for a breakfast show.
Me?
It could have been worse.
I don't know if you'd
Exactly.
see me. You'd have to draw me there. I'd be like, it's not a telecon. Please call me.
What else would you say you're learning to make peace with as you grow into your age?
My body.
Yeah.
I have stretch marks on my knees. I have stretch marks on my hips, and I've always been concerned. I never used to wear shorts.
Sure.
I never used to wear like crop top or anything that shows my hips because I was so concerned about stuff like that. Cellulites and stuff like that, I no longer care about because I actually enjoy wearing or exploring what to wear with my clothes now. So I'm not even concerned about that stuff anymore. And those are the things I wish I could tell my younger self. So like, don't worry about that stuff. Don't fret the small stuff. You're beautiful. You don't have to worry about your little imperfections. But I was so concerned about that stuff, and I no longer care. So my body is no longer something that I'm always conscious of. And you know what the thing is, like when I look at old photos,
Sure.
and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so skinny. But I remember I used to think I was fat then.
Oh,
When I saw that
yes,
picture, I really thought I was fat. When I'm looking at those pictures, I was like, girl, you were so small. But you know, it is life as being a woman or a little girl.
I think generally we are very unkind to ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's when we look back that we realize that the times we were most unkind to ourselves, we were actually okay.
It was so okay. It's so sad that we wasted so many years being like talking to ourselves really badly when you were actually so perft. And I think that's where I'm at now. I'm just like, I'm not going to fret the small stuff anymore.
In fact, there was a debate on a post about stretch marks on Instagram. And, you know, I know, you know, your body and how you feel about your body is for you.
Yeah.
But majority of guys were saying, we actually don't care.
Really?
We don't. We call it lightning strikes.
Like,
and
really?
we think they are sexy.
Really?
Your average guy doesn't care.
So what do guys actually care about that women are so concerned of?
Generally, we don't care.
Oh.
These wigs you blow money on,
Don't care.
other women will notice it. Generally, we don't care.
So you guys don't care about my big forehead?
Your lashes, we don't care. Like, generally, guys, just look after yourself.
Yeah, just be clean.
Just be clean.
Yeah, just be clean.
You know, there's self-love, and then there's what you guys do.
Yeah.
Where you're like, it's
excessive.
We don't care, dude.
Oh, I get it. You know what? You know, it's like, to be honest, if you think about the animal kingdom, like peacocks, or like a lot of the men are the ones that are very dressed up.
Sure.
Like the male peacocks are the ones that have all the feathers because they need to attract the women.
Sure.
But in the human race, it's the women that are doing all the flashy stuff to try to attract the men, which is actually very crazy. You guys should be doing all of these
which
lace
more
fronts.
often gets noticed by the other women and
100%,
not by the
and
guys.
not by the guys.
I've got a friend who literally prefers girls who are raised rural because they don't worry so much about the frills that you city girls worry about.
Really?
He literally has a type.
Yeah,
And
but
his
he shows
type-
because he doesn't want to spend money on it.
It's not even about that.
It's serving broke.
No. The thing is, he's a very kind guy, so he spends money on his girl.
Oh, he's generous.
But his type is a rural type who hasn't been part of the Joburg bad bitch scene.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. I feel like there's more to it.
I don't think so.
I'm sure he probably doesn't want to compete with all these guys because you guys are hungry lions, eh?
No, and I actually get it. I would sooner date a rural girl than I would a city girl.
Why?
There's just something sexy about it.
Okay, I get it. But I feel like it's got to do with the pockets also. You don't want to spend money because that's expensive. Because the city girls, they're not playing now, hey? They want a girlfriend allowance for 500,000.
Dude, I will still give you 500,000 if that's what you want.
500,000 a month?
If as long as you're not going to use the 500,000 to de-rural yourself, when I fell in love with the rural side of you.
I get you. Okay, I get you.
You know what I mean?
I get
There's
you.
something sexy about simplicity that I don't know how to explain it.
I get it.
There's just this.
I kind of get it though, because like on Instagram, I've noticed now, like the picture I posted with my natural hair got a lot more engagement and likes than when I'm literally all like dolled up and all the hoo-has.
Dude, trust me. Simplicity is so underrated.
It is.
And in everything, even just in making music. If you listen to some of the hottest, biggest songs out there, they're so simple. They're not overproduced.
No, for real. And you know, that's why I love 3-Step.
Sure.
Because I can actually just have fun on it. It's not like working on a hip hop song takes a lot more brain bandwidth.
Sure.
Because you have to think about like your subject matter. How does it sound? How does it flow? What's the cadence? What are the punchlines? The beginning, the end, the bridge, the chorus. How does everything go? Whereas the 3-Step, you really can just have fun with it. Like it's literally just about the vibe that you catch.
You can jam.
And you can even repeat stuff. You can repeat 4 bars over and over again because you just caught that vibe and people just want to dance to it. They don't want to listen too much, you know? And that's the thing that I'm really enjoying about making music on 3-Step. It's so good.
Is there an album on the way?
Yes, there is an album. It's also called Mfazi.
Okay.
It's coming soon. Like I said, it's not a tribute to women, but it's got a lot of influences from Winnie Mandela. Okay. But I don't want to talk too much about that. But I'm really excited for people to listen to it. It's not a long album. I think about 12 songs.
Sure.
And I'm exploring my music vocabulary on it as well. It's not just strictly hip hop. There's definitely hip hop, but there's some dancehall. There's some more 3-Step. There's some more house. I mean, I've got a song with Zion from Liquid Deep, and he produced it.
Wow.
It's so amazing. So I'm really excited for people to hear it.
Yo.
Yeah.
The state of hip hop currently, what are your thoughts?
I think the state of hip hop currently is bubbling. I think there's a lot of artists that are coming out that are so amazing making music. And I feel like genres always have a period where it churns out and becomes something else.
Sure.
But hip hop, you can never take hip hop out of the equation. Hip hop is a very huge genre. It's a global genre. It's massive and it'll always be there. So I'm really excited about what hip hop is going to be looking like in the next couple of months.
Is beef good or bad for hip hop? You know, whether it's Kendrick and Drake, whether it's AKA and Casper, Tupac and Biggie. When you look back over those 30, 40 years of hip hop beef, has hip hop fared better because of it or not?
Honestly, I feel like it's bad, to be honest, because what it results in is your fans not knowing when to pause.
Sure.
I mean, Drake's store got vandalized. Biggie and Pac died.
Sure.
Casper and AKA, there was a physical altercation. I feel like it can escalate to a very dangerous place, which is not exciting. But the talkability around it can be exciting. But for me, it's something that I would never engage in. I'm not built for it. I think it's not my energy. It's not positive.
Sure.
But talkability is great, but for how long, you know?
Exactly.
And I think globally, even the women are using beef to get talkability because hip hop is not just a little bit quiet in South Africa.
Sure.
It's a global conversation. Hip hop is quiet kind of globally.
Even on the global charts, it's not charting
It's
the
not
way
charting.
it was 5 years ago.
100%.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're starting to use this thing of shouting at each other and going at each other on social media to create a talkability, to create a buzz, and then they drop a tour or they drop a song. I mean, there's Meg Thee Stallion fighting with Nicki Minaj. There's Cardi B now fighting with Bia. There's Lotto fighting with Glorilla. There's everybody, and you realize that they're doing it on purpose. Then there's the Drake and the Kendrick, and then there's Rick Ross, and then there's Chris Brown and Quavo. You must understand that you guys think it's just beef. This is very orchestrated. It's a strategy. They're doing this for a reason, you know?
We need streams fast.
100%. We need people to buy our tickets. So we need, you know, and I know talkability is very important. And I think the culture that's happening now as opposed to when it was my day, not that I'm that old,
I was
but
going
my
to say,
day.
look at you aging yourself.
I know.
In my day.
I know, but in my day, it wasn't very clickbait. Like a lot of people on social media are doing things for clout and clickbait, and they're actually going for people and saying very disrespectful stuff, doing very disrespectful things, because I feel like the youth of this day are very sensitive. They're very, very quick to be like, my pronouns are he, she, they, them, what. If you don't get them right, I am offended. And that's kind of like what's happening right now. And
but isn't
it's
half the
very
problem
trigger-happy.
the fact that we've entertained it for too long, though?
How do you not entertain something, though?
That we've been PC for too long, that we allowed the PC gang to almost police us for so long that we over-police ourselves. You can't even speak honestly about what you feel.
You can't.
You can't even say, I hate carrots, because someone's going to be sensitive about how
I'm a vegetarian.
How dare you hate carrots.
100%.
You know, what about Bugs Bunny?
Exactly.
Fuck.
Like, come on. What about the kids that look up to Bugs Bunny? It's crazy. I feel like it's, you know, the age of now is very liberal in being able to talk about your sexuality, very focused, but it's even scarier now because when you do speak about it, you're actually going to get more ridicule than support now.
Sure.
Whereas before, when you did speak about things, you'd be getting support because people didn't hear it as much. So like, okay, you're brave enough to do this, so we're going to support you through it. But now because everyone is free to talk about whatever's going on, there's more ridicule being given to them. So therefore, depression, anxiety in the youth is actually raising. And a lot of suicide is happening with the youth because it's raising. Because when you're on social media and you're talking so much, you're in your house and you're doing this. So when it was my day, there was always a third place.
Sure.
So it was like you're at work, you're at home, third place is having lunch or dinner with your friends.
Sure.
Now the third place for these kids is their phone. And most likely they're isolated in their rooms and they're digesting all this negativity. How are you going to help those kids to be able to process that and not go into a state of depression? And that's what I'm so concerned about, because like, where are we going as a society? It's not positive.
In fact, we're trying to implement a rule in the house that you can only be in your bedroom when it's time to sleep or if you're doing your homework.
Yeah.
But you can't just be in your room because there's a room there. In a
Exactly.
bed.
Exactly.
Like,
Because what are you consuming?
Exactly.
What are you consuming? And now you're going to wake up and realize that your child is depressed, has anxiety. How do you deal with that when they're 19? How do you help them through that? It's difficult. And luckily they have parents like us that understand depression, anxiety. Our parents didn't understand that when a depression, what reason do you have to be depressed? You've got got food on your plate, you have a roof over your head.
And often a smack fixed it anyway.
100%. Or you have the calling. It's like, no, depression, anxiety, you need to go to Asa. It's not about that, you know? So, I don't know. I'm concerned about our youth, to be honest. I'm really, really concerned.
Now, we are running out of time. But I know. But before we let you go, we're going to play a quick game called When Last.
When last? Okay.
Yeah. When last did you have to deal with your own body dysmorphia?
This morning with this forehead. Hello?
Already this morning?
What do you mean?
So what, you're thinking of covering it up?
I'm thinking of putting a wig on later on today. But also, the wind, babes, like, I can feel it on my scalp. Like, at least a wig is a little bit like a beanie. It protects, like, my head. Because it's so cold. I'm just like, the back of my ears can feel this wind right now. Yeah, body dysmorphia this morning. But I'm working through it.
When last did you pray?
This morning. I pray every time when I'm on the road because I was almost hijacked like a month ago. Very scary. So every time I'm on the road, my anxiety goes up and I pray.
When last did you cry?
Last week.
What did you cry about?
I was crying. What was I crying for? I actually don't remember. I remember crying though. I was crying because my friend had a meeting with a medium and she said she had messages from me because the medium picked up me and what I was going through, and I was speaking to her. I started crying on the phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
When last did you cry tears of joy?
Yo, that's been a long time. I don't even remember how that feels. Tears of joy, I'm not sure because I didn't even cry on my birthday. Like, I was just like kind of like autopilots. Tears of joy haven't happened in a minute, but I hope that they'll come soon.
When last did you feel it's all not worth it in terms of career?
I think that's a constant conversation that I have with myself every single day. Not every single day, probably every single week. Because I feel like I'm actually one of the artists that get a lot of hate.
Sure,
you know?
sure.
People say things about me. People have opinions about me. And you understand, sometimes you can't defend yourself all the time. Because then you give it power.
Sure.
So I'm always questioning, is it worth it? I'm not sure. But I love it, so... Yeah.
When last did all this attention you get from social media really hit a nerve?
The past couple of months.
Yeah.
I think
What happened?
people have an opinion of how long they think grief should be or how long you should talk about someone. So that's why I'm not on Twitter anymore. I've literally taken off that app because it's painful and you feel like people don't understand, and they don't.
But even if they did, people treat you like you're not human.
Yeah.
Like you don't have feelings.
Yeah.
Like you're some object. Like you're in the zoo.
Yeah.
It sometimes feels like
Zoo.
no. It sometimes feels like you're in the zoo.
Yeah.
And we will feed you when we want. We'll take pictures when we want. We'll pose with
Yeah.
you when we want. We will talk shit about you when we want.
Yeah.
But you're in the zoo. You're not allowed to have any feelings about it.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have feelings, and the annoying thing is you can't engage. You can't show them that you have feelings because then you're feeding the beast.
When last did you tell someone for tech?
Yo, I think in a song now in Mfazi, when I say tell him to take. You know, the other day there was a comment that really grated me, and I wanted to go on their page, and I went on their page and I saw their pictures, and I wanted to go and say, how dare you, look at you. Then I realized if they commit suicide, I'll be so heartbroken. So I can have the thought process of thinking about your feelings.
But why would you be heartbroken about Satani being...
Because I see them as humans. They don't see me as humans. You know what I mean?
So basically...
That's the thing.
Okay, so your empathy often
For them,
interjects.
yes, because I know how it feels when it's me.
Sure.
So now I'm like, imagine them getting a comment from Braga saying, when I wish you also lost somebody and your whole family dies. That day I was so angry that I could have said something like that.
And
you
it's
know?
seen by 4 million people.
100%.
Yeah.
Now your friends are laughing at you. Now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, so when you go to school, they're going to laugh at you because Nadia said this on your comment.
Sure.
And sometimes I'll go on their page, I'll be like, how dare this person? Look what this person is dressed like. And I want to comment. But I know, like, I have empathy for them.
Sure.
Even though they've just said something bad to me. So I'd rather just block you. And it's like, let me just block you. My block game is powerful. I don't waste time. I'll block people that liked the bad comments. I'll find you. I'll go there and be like, okay, you wrote the comments. You liked the bad comment. Oh, you put a crying face.
Yeah.
Block the whole freaking lineage of that whole situation. I don't waste time. And I'm waiting for someone to come and say, oh, Nadia, please unblock me face to face. I am going to finish you. Because if I have to see you face to face,
Sure.
do not approach me.
Where does that massive amount of empathy come from, would you say?
I think I'm a Tauran. I'm an earth sign. I think it's something that's just always in us. I'm very into like star
Because you're
signs and
Taurus, you
astrology.
take the bull.
We take the bull.
But you don't give it.
We don't give it. But also because I'm also mad sensitive. I'm very, very sensitive. So I get how it could affect someone else, you know? Whereas with me, I've been doing this for a long time. If you have to go through what we go through, 10% of it, you probably wouldn't survive it, you know? So, yeah.
It's a conversation we have with Euphonic all the time.
Yeah.
That your average person wouldn't survive 10% of the shit we've been through.
Nope.
Like, in fact, in that days, we ask ourselves, surely we're a cycle that we've survived what we've survived.
Yeah.
And kept it moving.
Yep.
There must be a psychoness to it.
I think it has to be studied at UNISA because there has to be some sort of brain chemical that's happening with people like us that are able to compartmentalize certain things and say, you know, this I'm not going to take to heart.
Sure.
This is not a reflection of who I am. It's very difficult because you can't, like I said, you can't defend yourself. You can't have a conversation with people that have this opinion.
Sure.
And the public opinion is something that can really affect your career, and you actually can't do anything about it.
Sure.
The court opinion, you can go there, defend yourself with a lawyer,
Sure.
you can be proven innocent, but the court of public opinion, there's nothing you can do about
It's a
it.
runaway train and a runaway fire all at the same time.
All at the same time.
With a
And
petrol tanker driving through it.
Exactly. And there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to pray for the best. And hopefully
Absolutely.
people will come to their senses.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's difficult, but I mean, what can we do? This is the life we chose. You know, no one forced us to get into this situation, this being public figures. And honestly, I enjoy it because I get more love than I get hate. And I appreciate the people that have shown me so much love.
Sure.
And I've seen that there are human beings out there on the social media. And I decided to focus on them.
Absolutely. What's the next focus on you before we let you go?
The album, very excited about that. I'm working on a one-man show as well, which is hopefully going to be this year.
One woman would also be
One
nice.
woman
Okay.
show. I've got brands that I'm working with this year.
How's the makeup coming along?
Oh yes, by the way, I've got Naked Without.
I know.
I'm really excited. It's in the egg store at the moment, but I'm building the website. People are so upset saying, Nadia, why is it not on the website? I had an exclusive deal with Egg for a year. So it had to be in that store for a year, which is almost lapsing. So therefore I can do the website. I'm really excited because I'm actually doing it myself. Well, I'm not building the website myself, but the fact that I'm going to have to manage the website myself, do products myself, hire people. It's not a brand collaboration. It's all me. Like it's my brand. I invested in it.
From scratch.
I'm really excited. I mean, I'm wearing Naked Without today.
Yeah.
So the
And
coverage
she,
is amazing.
and she did her own makeup. In fact, we're telling her she must fire her team.
How?
Because she can do it herself.
I really can.
So you might as well.
Okay, might as well. I just don't want to because I'm lazy.
How do we get the brand new single?
Oh, so it's on all DSPs. It's called Fuzzy.
Okay.
And it's on all DSPs, but on all my profile pictures, all my profiles, it's in my bio. So the link is there.
Thank you so much for agreeing to chat to us.
Thank you. It's so good to see you.
Thank you for trusting us with your heart and your story and your narrative and everything else.
Thank you.
I know how precarious it gets agreeing to do interviews.
No, I hear you, but this was an important one. I really do enjoy your podcast, so congratulations. Thank you.
From first seeing you on TV on the 5th of January, 2013.
I can't believe you have the date. That's amazing.
To you sitting, I forget nothing, unfortunately.
Really?
I'm a very angry girlfriend. I forget nothing.
Oh my gosh, what's your star sign? Your spirit animal is probably an elephant. I love elephants. Can you see?
I'm a Libra.
You're Libra?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're about balance.
And my manager's totem is elephant, so there's elephant blood in the office all the time.
Oh my God. What's your
absolutely.
totem?
Our totem is an eland.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's a monkey.
Are you for real?
Imagine.
But why are you saying imagine?
A monkey.
What? Guys.
This just shows why I have so much energy. I'm just all over the place.
But the thing is, I think the problem is monkeys have bad PR, is the problem.
They do. They do have bad PR.
But we could all learn from every single animal, including the monkey.
I hear you. Okay.
Until you can use all 4 of your limbs at the same time for the same thing. You are the monkey.
Exactly.
So please put respect on the monkey.
Okay. I
Thank
hear
you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Braga is about to leave the building. Umfazi is out. Please stream it, share it, hopefully legally. And continue to show her love, man. She deserves every bit of love on the planet, and we will do that from our side. And hopefully you'll also reciprocate. Nadia Nakai is about to leave the building. And we are done. Another episode of Wow, What a Week in the bag. A bit challenging. We all feared having to record this without one of our own, but we also realized that the show has got to go on, because that's precisely what he would have wanted. Coming to you live from AMP Studios, downtown Johannesburg. We're part of the Africa Podcast Network, where you can email us, waw@africapodcastnetwork.com. Shout out to Trevor and the team at Pezulu Works. They do all of the cinematography. They make us look good. They can make you look good. So hit them up for your next project, for your next wedding, the matric dance you're doing, the Sweet 16 you're doing for your little bundle of joy. Trevor and the team at Pezulu Works have you covered. And shout out to Otis the Flow Fraser for all of the imaging. And finally, our executive producer, the mother of the roost, the great she-elephant, Kelezo Mudisa King. Till next week, have a great week in spite of yourselves. We're out of here.